Christina. I work here at the Dalarna University. I work in the department that is located in Borlänge. I am in a group called Work Science, and we are about 7-8 people working there, mainly with work environment, because that's what I'm going to talk about, but also communication, leadership, and what else? Well, mainly, and a whole lot of work environment for different courses and programs here at the university. I should have had my colleague here, Anne Hedlund, but unfortunately she got ill, so she couldn't be here today, which I feel is a bit sad because she's the one who has more experiences with this project. But I'll do my best anyway. How do I switch to Larato? Okay. So I'm going to talk about teachers' work environment in web-based education. And as you know, we've heard a lot about web-based education and different types of technologies used in all the universities that have presented here these last days. And but the work environment and how does this affect teachers is something, I don't know if anybody has talked about it actually. So that's something that we've been curious about. Dalarna University has the amount of web-based education, or what we say is under the NGL project, has increased dramatically during the last years. From 2006, when we had 1,400 students in web-based education. In 2010, we had 3,500 students. And these student numbers are, when you compare to full-time students, the actual number of students, like individual students, are extremely higher. I mean, we have 18,000 students here, so 65% of them study in some of these web-based courses. So that's quite a lot. That makes Sweden, or that makes Dalarna University, one of the universities that have most web-based students in Sweden. We have programs, web-based programs, or we say distant courses, net-based, whatever you call them. I try to say web-based because that's what we try to use. You can teach teachers' education, totally web-based. You can, many engineering courses, nursing, and numerous different courses in language. I think Sweden, this university has the most language courses, and many of them are web-based. So, I mean, I think we started with, do you remember 2003, the first, I don't know, when we started with web-based education. I think we've been doing it for quite a while. Yeah, so we have had some experience on it. This whole web-based education and what we call the next generation learning is something that is prioritized at Dalarna University. And this, what it includes is for the teacher, I mean, often you see what the students get, but it's also what we as teachers actually work with. It's the learning platforms, and that's not only for the web-based courses, because all courses here need to have a learning platform where we communicate with students, where we download documents, we use it to communicate. There is a forum where you can ask questions, and all students and teachers can see them and answer them. We have chat features. We can chat with each other. Students in their working groups with teachers can chat in chat rooms with the students. As a teacher in these web-based courses or programs, you can pre-record lectures or actually do them live, that you have, as we have now, students in the class or in the lecture hall, but it's also recorded and streamed, so you can have students somewhere else. So that's together. I mean, being a teacher in one of these web-based courses, many things are actually similar to being an ordinary teacher when you just teach at campus. But there are quite a lot of differences still. Normally you don't see your students. You have in this learning platform, you can have from 10 to maybe, I have some course, there are over 100 students. I see them only as names. I chat with them sometimes, or I get them on email. Some of them I actually see because we have some kind of meeting. They need to come here to campus at least once a term for things we can't do over the internet or over the web. But normally, yeah, it's very much goes on over this platform. And that's where we've been thinking about work environment, because in this increased numbers of web-based courses and programs, naturally more teachers are working with these as well. And how does this affect teachers? Not seeing your students, doing correction of papers, you do them on the computer, and since you don't see your students, when you normally get questions in the classroom, you will get them on email or in this forum where they can answer, they can put their questions and you are supposed to answer them. So already in 2007, the university decided to look a bit closer on how the work environment is affected due to this increase of web-based education. And the aim then was to investigate the physical and psychosocial working environment and to identify if there are any risks and if there are, correct them. Last year I was involved in this project, and we started, I've been going through what has been done since 2007, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're going to do in the future. The first thing that was done was a questionnaire that was sent out to all teachers here at the university in 2008. There was some 460 teachers, and I think more than 65% of them answered this questionnaire. Questionnaire with up to 100 questions, and mainly focusing on the physical and psychosocial working environment, how it affects you, if you see any problems, explain the experiences you have, and also how your working situation is. How do you feel in this, how do you say, oh, I just lost it. Feeling, how the working situation, not only, some of this has to do with how the classrooms are built and so on, but the other thing is how you feel about it working in this kind of environment. The survey showed that teachers who work in web-based education have a higher risk of being affected by stress-related problems or physical problems. And the questionnaire was that you could say that you don't, that you only have campus-based teaching, or you have a mixture, or you only teach web-based. But anyway, the results were that the more you teach web-based, the greater the risk was that you were affected by stress or some kind of physiological problems. And a lot of the physical risk had to do with ergonomics, sitting wrong, sitting for too long. Teachers said that there was an unsuitable environment for sitting in small classrooms or in recording studios, and that the technical equipment wasn't good enough for the work you were supposed to do. Psychological and social and psychological risks, too much work and too much variation workload, often over a whole year. You could have a lot to do in the beginning of the year and less in the end, but it wasn't, the variation was too big, and total amount of work often is a problem. Another problem is working alone. When you sit in your chat rooms with students, you don't have your colleagues next to you. You sit in your room, you have your, headsets on, and you're like quite isolated out in space, because you don't hear what's going on around you. Did I just press something here? That wasn't my... There. So this social contact with colleagues is less in web-based education than in normal campus education. Some people said they had too little support from their superior, from their bosses, and also the support from other colleagues. And they thought about just the support from the university itself, supporting that this is supposed to, that this is important work you're doing. So this was the first study in 2008, which was the survey study to all the teachers. And then 2 years later, to follow up this study, there was a new study was conducted with a focus group where 5 teachers from different departments and different subjects were invited, together with personnel from the ICT, is it called? Yeah, ICT techno, to see what can be done better and to find these good experiences and get suggestions for developing the web-based education and how to make it less riskful. So identifying risk and develop proposals for solutions were the main aims for this project. And through this focus group, several shortages concerning physical work environment were detected. We tried to divide them a little bit into what happens at the office, where problems occur with these headsets, sitting ergonomics, maybe sharing your office with somebody else who's sitting in a computer chat and you getting disturbed or they disturbing you. Bad ventilation, that's is important, even it's in lecture halls like this. This is a small one. Now I don't have, if you have a microphone or something, they say it's difficult to move around. They say you stumble over cables and different things. That was in 2008. Some things have happened since then, actually. Lightning cables, the distance between students, actually if it's, the distance here must be in a big lecture hall, but also thinking about the distance you have to students who actually are on the web and you don't have them in your room. And then the recording studios, where you could in advance record a lecture and then put it out on the web. Even there was tiresome with lighting, ventilation, and bad ergonomics. And a lot of techniques to think about. Now we have somebody here to help us. Which button is it if you want to do this and that? And it's, many teachers find it more stressful when they have students in the class or in the lecture hall, but if it's also recorded, you have so many more things to think about than just an ordinary lecture. From this focus group, there were a lot of suggestions for improvements. As I said, support from heads of the college and access to different models for next or web-based teaching. Not everything fits every person, to have a variation of different techniques. Technical and administrative support to the teachers so that they know whom to contact. And another was found would be more motivating is if all level of teachers actually are involved in web-based education, not only the new teachers, but also, lectures. No, a lecturer is a lecturer or a professor or something also is involved in this kind of education. So it's not just for the new teacher or for PhD students. This, like an easy thing, an adjustable headset. Why you can buy the simple ones for 50 kronas, but maybe it would be worth to test out one that's really fitting my head and my shape, and that feels better. Or why not in some of these small recording studios we have microphones, desk microphones. You don't need this kind of headset any longer if you sit in a studio, which makes it much easier instead of sitting with these big headsets on, which many find very tiresome. Clear instruction for technical equipment. I think a lot of things have happened, and we have gotten better equipment, and the recording studios have been better. So a lot of things have happened. This is actually, the big picture is from this lecture hall a couple of years ago. I don't know, you can't really see a difference. Some different technique, but still. So this all comes together with best practice. High adjustable tables. I think this is one. You could stand here and, I don't know, I was supposed to try it. I couldn't get it up to this level. I can choose to sit down or stand up while teaching, keep holding my lecture. Also, when I'm, as a teacher, in one of these chat rooms, chatting to other students, normally you're trapped at the computer with your headset and not being able to work around. This is with headsets that are without a cable, wireless headsets. These things make it much easier. Having the same equipment, technical equipment, in lecture halls, in the recording studios and so on, makes it easier. When you come in there, you see you recognize everything and you know how it works. It's not a new thing every time you come there. And then courses for teachers in online, often courses how to use all the techniques we have and the technical equipment, and supporting teachers, how programs work and so on. That's one of the things that came out to this focus group, what they wanted to have from our university. In all, continued collaboration between teachers, work environmental experts and the ICT personnel, and support from the management is seen as a good way to improve the working environment. When we've looked at how working environment affects us, I mean, I'm a teacher as well, I don't only teach web-based, but sometimes, but how the environment affects teachers. We have looked at what happens in call centers, where you often sit maybe in big rooms with headsets, and you're trapped to your desk. Actually, you don't have the opportunity to walk around. You can see similarities between that kind of work and their work situation and the work situation we have here at, in web-based education. Some teachers said they had problems keeping their working time, the difference from working time and your leisure time, because many students, even if they study full time, often they actually work as well. So their time when they do their really studying and when they want contact with us at the university is after 5 p.m. and until 11 at night. So as a teacher, often you're supposed to be, or you're expected to be there from 8 in the morning to answering an email even at 11 at night. And even if, that's not our working hours, but still, sometimes you can feel, well, it would be good if I answer an email or if I look if there are any questions, because I know they have a paper to hand in the day after, and it's this little pressure. You want to give them the service of actually being there for them. But it's, for your working environment and for workload and stress, it's not a good way. But for many students, they appreciate when you are online, even at night. So, future work. These were 2 studies done earlier, focusing first mainly on the overall situation here at the university, and then looking more at the physiological working environment. The next thing is that we want to look more at the psychological and social work environment for teachers. How can we improve that? We have been thinking about starting some kind of new focus group with people from our department, personnel from ICT, and teachers from different parts of the university to get, because you work quite differently, and I think many of the teachers here have something to contribute with. So that will be the next thing to do during the spring and further on this year.